President of the Republic of South Africa, the Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, His Excellency, the former President of United Republic of Tanzania, Mr. Kikwete, the Speaker of Parliament, Ms. Mbete, and the Deputy Speaker, Sinoli, fellow commissioners, as already acknowledged by the previous speaker, ministers and deputy ministers present here, honorable leaders and representatives of the political parties, chairpersons and members of fellow Chapter 9 institutions present, members of the judiciary present, high commissioners, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, Islabani Kulube, our Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Mamabulo, and fellow members of his EXCO, our provincial electoral officers, Ibuto Elngalambati, members of the domestic and international observer missions that have graced this auspicious occasion, traditional leaders, international members of civil society, members of the NGOs, representatives of the faith-based organizations present here, members of the organized labor, as well as the business community who have joined us here, members of the Fourth Estate, our media, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the team, the mighty team that is here in front of you, that constitutes the Electoral Commission, it is indeed an honor to welcome you all for the announcement of the results of the 2019 national and provincial elections. The Constitution of our country, in its founding provisions, commits us as a nation to, quote, universal adult suffrage, national common voters' roll, regular elections, and multi-party system of democratic government. And yes, we had our share of multi-party contesting this round. It then establishes the Electoral Commission and mandates it to carry out very simple tasks: to manage the elections, ensure the elections are free and fair, and to declare the results, just to paraphrase those, the mandate. But as the fellow CEO has indicated, that particular task requires distinguished and accomplished young men and women, as these countries young men and women have showed. We as the Commission, we are proud once again to meet this mandate. And by declaring the national and provincial elections 2019 to be free and fair, and to announce the results of those elections within the 3 days that we finished polling. We can do this because of the legal framework, including the Constitution and the electoral legislation, along with the systems, the processes under which our elections are conducted, and provides an electoral architecture based on transparency and inclusivity to ensure credible and elections with integrity. We can do this because of the 200,000 or so fellow South Africans who volunteered and were staff members of the Commission, who made sure that they will not, the democracy dwindle on their watch. We can do this because the political parties who are our key stakeholders and very colorful and effervescent contestants to these elections, they share one thing, and that thing in common is a vision for a peaceful, prosperous, and a democratic country under the Constitution and the rule of law. Excuse me. We can do this because the people of South Africa continue also to believe in our democracy. They support the freedom of choice and the justice. Ladies and gentlemen, 14 days ago, South Africa celebrated the anniversary of our first democratic, free and fair elections. 25 years on, we can proudly say as a nation that we remain firmly rooted in the democratic ideals that we adopted in 1994. And our country remains a shining beacon of democracy and human rights for all. It is now my honor and a privilege to then do the easier part than our CEO had to do. It is to announce the results, and we will start with in the province of the Eastern Cape. The following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The African Transformation Movement with 1 seat, the Free Front Plus with 1 seat, the United Democratic Movement with 2 seats, the Economic Freedom Fighters with 5 seats. The official opposition in the province is the Democratic Alliance with 10 seats. And finally, the majority party in the Eastern Cape is the African National Congress with 44 seats. In the province of the Free State, the following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The Free Plus with 1 seat, the Economic Freedom Fighters with 4 seats. The official opposition in the province is the Democratic Alliance with 6 seats. And the majority party in the Free State is the African National Congress with 19 seats. In the province of Gauteng, the following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The African Christian Democratic Party with 1 seat, Inkatha Freedom Party with 1 seat, the Freed Front Plus with 3 seats, the Economic Freedom Fighters with 11 seats. The official opposition in the province is the Democratic Alliance with 20 seats. And the majority party in Gauteng is the African National Congress with 37 seats. In the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The African Transformation Movement with 1 seat, the African Christian Democratic Party with 1 seat, the Minority Front with 1 seat, the Economic Freedom Fighters with 8 seats, Democratic Alliance with 11 seats, and the official opposition in the province is Inkatha Freedom Party with 13 seats. And the majority party in KwaZulu-Natal, I haven't announced yet. It is the African National Congress with 44 seats. And the province of Limpopo, the following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The Freed Front Plus with 1 seat, the Democratic Alliance with 3 seats. The official opposition in the province is the Economic Freedom Fighters with 7 seats. And the majority party in Limpopo is the African National Congress with 38 seats. In the province of Mpumalanga, the following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The Free Plus with 1, the Democratic Alliance with 3 seats, and the official opposition is the Economic Freedom Fighters with 4 seats. And the majority party in Mpumalanga is the African National Congress with 22 seats. In the province of the Northwest, the following parties will be represented in the provincial legislature for the next 5 years. The Freed Plus with 2 seats, the Democratic Alliance with 4 seats, the official opposition in the province is the Economic Freedom Fighters with 6 seats. And the majority party in Northwest is the African National Congress with 21 seats. And in the province of Northern Cape, the following parties will be represented in the legislature for the next 5 years. The Freed Front Plus with 1 seat, the Economic Freedom Fighters with 3 seats. The official opposition in the province is the Democratic Alliance with 8 seats. And the majority party in Northern Cape is the African National Congress with 18 seats. In the Western Cape, the following parties will be represented in the legislature for the next 5 years. Al-Jamaa with 1 seat, the Freed Front Plus 1 seat, the African Christian Democratic Party with 1 seat, and Good with 1 seat, the Economic Freedom Fighters with 2 seats. The official opposition in the province is the African National Congress with 12 seats, and the majority party in Western Cape is the Democratic Alliance with 24 seats. Distinguished guests, fellow South African, despite the rapid growth in number of political parties contesting the national elections since 1994, the number of political parties represented in Parliament has remained fairly constant at around 13 political parties. From this year, despite the record number of 48 political parties contesting in this year national elections and provincial elections, in the national election, voters will have 14 parties representing them. The following parties will be represented in the 6th National Assembly. Al-Jamaa with 1 seat, the Pan-Africanist Congress with 1 seat, the African Independent Congress with 2 seats, the African Transformation Movement with 2 seats, the Congress of the People with 2 seats, Good with 2 seats, the United Democratic Movement with 2 seats, the National Freedom Party with 2 seats, the African Christian Democratic Party with 4 seats, the Free Front Plus with 10 seats, Inkatha Freedom Party with 14 seats, and the Economic Freedom Fighters with 44 seats. The official opposition in the 6th Parliament will be the Democratic Alliance with 84 seats. And finally, distinguished guests and fellow South Africans, for the 6th time in 26th year in a row, the majority party in the National Assembly of South Africa will be the African National Congress with 230 seats. On behalf of the Electoral Commission, we congratulate all the parties and contestants who have won the representation in the National Assembly and provincial legislatures. We call on all the candidates who will soon take their oath of office to serve the people of South Africa with pride, with dignity, with integrity, and with accountability, for that is what our Constitution calls for and our people deserve. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.